Hey, gun people. Well, normally I'm pretty hard on the cops, but this one I'm not. I'm probably going to take the cop side on this one a little bit because I don't think that he did anything that freaking outrageous here. You get a response to a call with a guy with a gun, and I think the media is kind of playing kind of BS here because I don't know the timeline on this. Maybe if I look at the time up here, did this happen before or after? If you get a response of a guy with a gun and a black guy walks out, or a white guy, or a Hispanic guy, or an Asian guy, and you think there's a guy with a gun in there, to challenge him, put his hands up, he makes the guy circle so he can check his waistband for weapons. The guy's holding something with a black strap, and it's black. It's a camera, so he's got something in his hands. I don't think this guy was out of control and proning the guy out. To me, it's not. And again, if this is before he got the description, I'm really okay with it. I'm kind of okay with it even after he got the description a little bit, but let's see how it goes.
Investigation after he held a black hotel employee at gunpoint while he was supposed to be looking for a white suspect.
Oh, it's horrible. He's supposed to be looking for a white guy, those white people, the evil people. He was supposed to be looking for him, and he stopped a black man. This is all about color politics bullshit.
12's Jen Wall is live in Tempe this morning with what this newly released body cam video is revealing. Good morning, Jen.
Yeah, good morning to you guys. So it all happened on Saturday at the Hawthorne Suites Hotel behind me here on Southern and the 101. According to Tempe police, the manager called about a white man who pointed a gun at a hotel employee.
Take a look at this body cam video.
Okay, so let's, hell, I can't make out. I got the date. Is there a timestamp on there? Is that 45 seconds? I can't read the time.
From Officer Ronald Curzea, the officer who responded to the call. You can see him trying to find the suspect outside the hotel. That's when an African-American employee exited the building. Take a listen to what happened next.
Okay, so that's 5:59:06. Okay, I got it.
Next.
Put your hands up. One at gunpoint. Step out.
I work here.
You work here?
I was kicking the door closed, man.
Okay, turn around.
I work.
Okay, so the guy says he works here. Looking at him, he looks like he's dressed decent. He's not out committing crime. I agree. So, I don't think the officer overreacts here. He's like, dude, one at gunpoint, I got a guy outside coming out the door. Okay? So, let's see, it's 6:10, maybe 6:10 Zulu, is that Z? I don't know.
That's fine.
On, man,
step this way. Hey, listen to me. Listen, okay?
I got my hand.
I am responding to somebody with a firearm who matches your description. You understand that? Come here.
Okay, so he says I'm responding to somebody matching your description. If he's looking for a white guy, I don't know. Look, sometimes when you go to these calls and they go, hey, you're looking for this guy, and you hear black pants or black shorts or white shirt, clothing is usually more important. Now, I got to admit, could somebody, let me ask you a question. Who thinks in the history of law enforcement on a routine basis that nobody's ever misidentified a suspect? Who thinks that? Raise your hand. Well, you're an idiot. Because misidentifications are always. I've had black males identified as Hispanic, as Indian, as Asian, as white. A light black male will be like a dark-skinned white guy, and it'll turn out to be a black guy. So descriptions are not always absolute, and you don't always go absolute, especially when you're dealing with somebody with a gun. You got somebody walking out. I think the clothing is black and white, and he sees probably a white shirt or black. Sometimes people will say white. When it's off-white, it's striped. Sometimes they'll say black, and it'll be blue. So we don't always go by 100% of the description. To paint this out that this cop somehow, just stopped him because he was black is just absolutely ridiculous. Look, I don't care who you are or what conflict, whether you're in the military or a civilian. When you're in a life or death situation, color means absolutely nothing. That is one of the lowest. I mean, there's just no way when somebody's fearful of their life or in a life or death situation that color comes to mind. If I'm going to call with a gun and there's 5 white people or 5 black people, to me, there's a gun, there's danger. It's handled the same. Now, I know the race baiters will be coming here trying to tell you that that's not true, and just look how many black people are killed compared to white. Look how many black people commit crime compared to white. I mean, it's just the percentage from the FBI is outrageous. Blacks commit over 50% of the crime. You're going to have more black people involved with law enforcement when they're committing 50% of the crime. It's just crazy to ignore that fact.
I got my hands up, man. Take the gun off.
Okay, so I'm okay with this guy. Like, I got my hands up, get the gun off me. I agree with him. I don't like a gun pointed at me. I especially don't like it when cops point a gun at me because they're all freaking trigger happy. So I get where this guy's coming from. But this cop would have a gun on this guy whether he was white or black. It has nothing to do with him being black. If the white guy walked out and he pulled a gun on him, he would do the exact same thing that he's doing with this guy. I know that the race baiters won't believe that, and there'll be people coming here, oh no, man, because if he was black, they would have shot him. That's what I always get. Anytime they detain a guy, a white person, people be like, if he was black, they'd have shot him. Well, there's plenty of cases where they don't shoot black people. I mean, come on, people. Try to be educated and smart instead of just repeating the narrative that they're feeding to the dumbasses.
You heard the employee repeatedly told the officer he works at the hotel.
Listen to her voice. He repeatedly told him that he worked there. Well, that's because you're an idiot, you freaking little newscaster with your little microphone, because people lie to the cops all the time, especially if they commit crimes or they got a gun. So for you to sit here and go, he told him he worked there and the officer didn't believe him just because he was black. Oh, please.
Officer Curzea held him at gunpoint for a couple minutes until he confirmed that was true. But the main part of that exchange, Officer Curzea told the man he was looking for a suspect that matched his description. But that's not true. When Officer Curzea asked the hotel manager for the description of the suspect, the manager said it was a white man wearing a black shirt and tan pants.
Okay, so this time is before the time, so he did know this before he stopped the guy.
Officer Curzea then repeated that description.
White male, he's going to be wearing a black shirt, tan pants.
Black shirt, tan pants. Ricky didn't even have a black shirt on. I'm telling you, that's why I tell you never give your description of yourself to dispatch. Because they'll always ask you, what are you driving and what's your description? Never, ever give it. This is just too complex when you're out there looking for a gun and description and white male black. Look, when I go for a gun, I don't give a shit if you don't fit the description. If you're a woman and I'm looking for a man and you walk out of an area where there was a gun, I'm going to look at you twice. I'm going to evaluate whether I think you're a threat. I'm going to look at how your facial expression, how you react to me. Are you carrying something that's black in your hand? I mean, it doesn't matter even if it's the wrong freaking sex. When you're looking for somebody with a gun, you tend to treat at a little bit higher priority, and you treat people that may not match the description.
The armed suspect was never found, but Officer Curzea's encounter with that employee has led to an investigation by Tempe police. The department released this statement that reads in part, "Our initial review indicates that this incident was not handled in accordance with the professionalism and respectful behavior that we and the public..."
Dude, if they're saying this cop was being disrespectful and wasn't professional, he was like, okay, let me confirm. Keep your hands up. I'm looking for a guy with a gun. I mean, he wasn't screaming and yelling and calling a guy names and telling him shut the fuck up, and he wasn't doing any of that. I mean, what did you want him to do? They're going to pass a policy? When a black person tells you something, you must believe it. Otherwise, you're a racist. That'll be the new thing. When a black person commits a crime and he tells you he didn't, you must believe it. Otherwise, you're a racist. And you got to raise your hand and say Black Lives Matter. Are you freaking kidding me? This cop was not out of control in this incident. But there's another incident where I didn't agree with him.
Have for our officers. We also want to point out this is not the first controversy involving Officer Curzea.
So he lets the guy go. He confirms he's an employee, and he lets the guy go. He doesn't push him. He doesn't say, get out of here, punk. He doesn't slap him in the head and said, don't backtalk me. He doesn't do anything. He lets the guy go. And the department's already said, oh, it's unprofessional. Really? Fuck.
Yeah. The police department confirmed to 12 News that he's the same officer from the controversial tasing of a black...
Okay, so he tased a guy here. Why did the cop tase him? Well, you got 1, 2, 3, 5 cops there. 3 of them are females. Maybe that's why he tased him. because he didn't have trust in the other female officers that was there.
Confirmed to 12 News that he's the same officer from the controversial tasing of a black man last year.
Okay, now I did a review on this, and I thought it was BS that he tased a guy with a kid. Even though he's got the laser on him, it could have missed and hit the kid. I think that was BS. But, once again, we have a cooperative black male filming, not cooperating, telling him no, 5 officers on scene, multiple tasers pointed at him, holding a kid, not cooperating. See, the common factor that a lot of people don't miss in a lot of these incidents is non-cooperation by the suspect. Rick, you said that you shouldn't listen and you shouldn't trust it. Look, cops get to shoot people with impunity. So, to me, it's just smart not to challenge them if they got guns at you, because you're probably going to lose. Or you're probably, even if you win and get shot and killed, and then you get to claim that I showed those cops, I didn't have to listen to them. That just makes you kind of ignorant in my book. But anyway, I don't think he should have tased this guy with a kid. I think that's wrong. But to bring up this incident because he got a gun call and he detained a person shortly in the area for a few seconds, I mean, good grief.
That he's the same officer from the controversial tasing of a black man last year. After reviewing this situation, Tempe police said.
So we have 2 women with their back to another person in here. Pretty much. Well, anyway, I think I already did this.
They assigned mandatory retraining to all the officers involved.
Oh, we need more training. Wow. They required mandatory training for all the officers involved.
Tempe police said they assigned mandatory retraining to all the officers involved.
Oh, so black man doesn't cooperate. One guy tases him, and all the officers get retraining. Oh, that's great. That's what they need, Rick. They all need more training. Training isn't the issue. I can train you till I'm blue in the face. If you go out there and ignore that training, you don't use that training, you don't implement the training that you have, and you do stupid shit that causes people to die, and you're not held accountable, that's the issue. Stop saying it's a training issue. Every time somebody says training, what they're saying is, we got to give government more money. If we give government more money, it'll fix it. If we train them more, it'll fix it. If we give them more money and more officers to train them, then we'll have another officer that keeps up with the training, it'll fix it. And then if we have another supervisor that supervises the training officers that keep track of the training to make sure that everybody's trained, then it'll fix the problem. If we only had more money and more officers for more training, we would be good. We would be competent. That's not true. They're not held accountable. Cops aren't being fired for doing shit against policy. Cops aren't being fired for going against their training. If you've already been trained and you don't use it, you're held accountable. I mean, I just don't get it.
Okay, back to the incident here at the Hawthorne Suites Hotel. Tempe PD says Officer Curzea has been placed in an administrative role during this investigation. And we're also told that the attorney for the hotel employees involved does plan to file a notice of claim in the coming days.
Notice of claim. Everybody wants free taxpayer money. Let's blame this. Let's say that cops that respond to calls with a man with a gun can't stop anybody unless they know it's that person with the gun. So we'll just let everybody go. And look, I mean, at some point, cops need to wake up and just say, hey, I ain't going to calls. And I mean, I don't know why cops are even dealing with shit now. It'd be like, I ain't doing shit. Supreme Court said I got no duty to act. I can only get sued when I act. I'm tired of being the bad guy and the scapegoat. Screw you later. Now look, I'm not saying that there's not bad cops doing bad shit. But even trying to be a good cop nowadays is just kind of screwed. But I think it's been that way before. This is nothing new. The cycle just continues. It's just more prevalent now because of all the video cameras. All right, we'll end that there.